need to talk about Kelel Ware because he could change everything for the Miami Heat and their outlook on this upcoming season, and also their outlook on the next 5 to 7 seasons as they continue to progress and plan for post-Jimmy Butler life. I am very excited to talk about Ware because he has been very good in Summer League, but if you have not watched Summer League and are really just wanting to know more about Kelel Ware, let me provide some background on the 15th overall pick, as that's what he was from the Heat in the 2024 NBA Draft. He's still a younger player, not an older prospect like Jaime Jaquez Jr. was a year ago, coming in at age 22. He's still 20 years old. He comes in at 7 feet tall and with a 7'4.5" wingspan and weighing in at 240, which is a topic that we'll talk about in the later portion of today's show. But I've kind of mentioned already, he's been absolutely fantastic in Summer League. He has displayed the reasoning why the Heat wanted to take him with the 15th overall pick in terms of his defensive prowess, rejecting shots, being a rim deterrent, but also showcasing some very nice things offensively in terms of scoring at all 3 levels of the court and being a really good lob threat, which we're going to talk about his pros and cons so far, what I think he needs to work on, and what he is already showing for the Miami Heat in the middle portion of today's show. But before we get into more on Kelel Ware, I want to get the love for Ware in the comment section. Flood the comments with his jersey number 7. If Ware is waiting for the next Summer League game and scrolling on YouTube when he comes across this video, I want him to know the Heat fans love him a lot, so spam those 7s down below. It's hard not to like what Ware has shown because in the 4 games he's played in Summer League so far, 2 in the California Classic, and in the first 2 Las Vegas Summer League games, Ware has been absolutely dominant. 16.5 points, 8 boards, 2.5 blocks, shooting above 50% from the field. The 3-point percentage isn't where we'd like it to be. Obviously, it's only 22.2, but he has made 1 in each of the last 2 games, and that number is really weighed down by him going 0 for 4 from 3 in the first game against the Golden State Warriors in the California Classic. But since he's turned the page to Las Vegas and they've started the real Summer League, his first 2 games have been great. On Saturday against the Celtics, he was dominating inside, and this was an impressive performance to me because he was playing Nemes Keita, who got some PT on the real Celtics team last year when some injuries occurred, and he absolutely was the better center in that matchup. 17 points, 3 blocks, 7 of 9 shooting, and even knocked down a tray ball, had the first 5 points for Miami in that game. I was a little critical of his defensive positioning and rebounding efforts on Saturday, and then he rebounded in a big way last night when he had 12 boards, was better overall defensively, only had 1 block, but he was better in terms of his positional spacing and just overall deterrence, having 11 points and 12 boards against the Thunder on Monday evening. And we didn't even talk about his game against the Sacramento Kings a couple Sundays ago, not this past Sunday, but the Sunday prior, in the California Classic when he had 26 points and double-digit boards. He has been flashing everything Heat fans would have wanted to see from him through the first 4 games he has played in Summer League. There's been pros and cons, though, of each. And going forward here, I kind of want to go through what he's shown me that I've really, really liked, but also some things that he needs to improve on. Because even though I think he can change everything, and we'll talk about how he fits in this Heat roster going forward at the end of today's video, there are some things he does have to improve on. He's not a perfect prospect. But let's start with the positives, because the number one thing that has stood out to me is that he has extremely soft touch around the rim. And this is something that is important because if you have soft touch around the rim, you could only continue to expand that and develop a better mid-range game, a better 3-point game. That's something that Bam Adebayo displayed when he was at Kentucky. Yes, he was mostly an athletic defender and lob threat, but he had the soft touch, the little floaters around the rim, and he's been able to parlay that into a really, really efficient mid-range game. I think Kelel Ware can do that because when he gets those push shots 8 feet away from the basket, you can just tell that when it hits rim, it's so soft, and he gets a lot of friendly rolls. He's already a serious lob threat, and this is something that can be a positive and negative. Not negative in Kelel Ware's kind of lighting, but just overall thinking of this Heat roster, because he is going to be such a dynamic pick and roller to where he can catch so many lobs in game action. But the question is, who is going to be throwing those lobs? Because Terry Rozier is not a natural point guard. Tyler Hero is not a natural point guard. Hero might be your best lob thrower on the team, and if that's the case, that's an issue. So that is still something that Miami needs to figure out. Who's throwing these lobs? We've not been able to find someone who can throw an accurate lob to Bam. I'd like to see someone be able to do it to him and Ware, because Ware is such a dynamic threat. Ware is also a really good shot blocker. We knew this, though. Averaged 2 blocks a game at Indiana, 7'4.5" wingspan. His arm length and athleticism just allows him to reject shots that other people simply can't. And although Bam Adebayo is the best defender in the world, in my opinion, that's one drawback of him is that he doesn't really block shots at a high clip. Kelel Ware absolutely can. And the last pro that has really stood out to me is his jumper. It looks very clean. Even though he's shooting 22.2% from three, and he's came up a little short on a couple mid-range fall-aways, you can tell that it's one fluid motion, and as soon as he starts to bulk up, add more strength to his frame, he's going to be able to absorb contact and make these jumpers more effortlessly, and I think this is something that we're going to watch him progress at throughout his rookie season. He will just only continue to get better at shooting 15-foot shots as well as three-point shots throughout the year. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel before we get into the things I want to see Kelel Ware improve on. I want to make sure you're subscribed because we're live for all the Heat Summer League games. We'll be live on Wednesday against the Dallas Mavericks. A little bit of a day game, so come join us as the Heat look to move to 3-0 in Las Vegas. We also put out daily content. What else could you want around the Miami Heat? Because we're going to have it for you. All right, there are some cons that I want to talk about, and I don't want people to come out here and say Roly hates Kelel Ware, because that's not the case. I do have more cons than pros, because to me, there is a lot that he has to improve on. The number one thing to me is clearly he needs to add strength and muscle size to his frame. 240 pounds, that needs to be closer to 255, 260. It's just simply the case. We saw Jovic come into the league and add 15 to 20 pounds throughout his rookie year. Ware will need to do the same thing. There are too many times that he gets kind of pushed around when he gets the ball on the low block and isn't able to absorb that contact, which allows him to turn the ball over. Or on the defensive end, he kind of gets pushed back, which allows a stronger player to get off a shot and Ware not be able to really contest it. Kind of keeping with that defensive theme, though, he needs to improve his defensive positioning. I like that he hunts shot blocks. He's a really good shot blocker. But at times, he wants to block a shot too much to where he is jumping, leaving his feet, not staying down on pump fakes. And overall, in drop coverage as well, he is staying too close to the rim. There is a lot that he'll have to work on with his defensive positioning. But if he's able to put that together alongside his shot blocking, he can be one of the best defensive centers in the NBA. Kind of combining 1 and 3 here, he is not a good back to the basket player. Like, you can't throw the ball on the block to him and say, go get a bucket. Because he simply, when he tries to back down his opponent, he doesn't have the core strength. He doesn't have the muscles to be able to throw some weight around inside and bang with the other big men. He oftentimes tries to do that and then kind of gets pushed back out and has to go to a fall-away jumper. So to me, Ware really needs to add some muscle so he can only stand his ground defensively, but also provide some physicality on the offensive end. He also needs to improve his conditioning. There are too many times when he's on the court for 6-7 minutes straight, you can tell he's gassed, and he's not getting up and down the court in the same rate, and it kind of allows him to be lazy, which kind of takes me to this, too. He isn't the best screen setter thus far. And the one question on Kelel Ware coming out of college was his motor and work ethic. And I'm not saying that I've seen some signs of him not being a hard worker, but when you aren't conditioned properly and you get tired, it leads to lazy tendencies, which we know Eric Spoelstra does not like. And I saw one of them late in the fourth quarter yesterday against the Thunder, where it's been 6 or 7 minutes, him running up and down, and he goes to set a screen, and it was a lazy screen. He goes up there, doesn't even try to make contact, realized it, and then threw out his hip and got an illegal screen called on him because he wasn't there and he wasn't set and he did not do the fundamental things correctly. Something that he needs to improve on there, conditioning and the IQ, because he makes some dumb mistakes early on, but he is a rookie, so there's a lot to improve at. And I am excited for Kelel Ware because even though I just talked about the negatives on Kelel, and there's a lot to improve on, the base, and he's got the building blocks to become an elite center in the NBA. If he gets stronger, he improves his conditioning, he will then parlay those top two things into better defense, better IQ, better awareness, less laziness, a better back to the basket game. Like, it all starts with me with the conditioning and the strength training for Kelel Ware. Because if he's able to get those two things down in the offseason leading up to October and November when the season begins, he will only be able to improve on the other little things that I want to watch him improve on. So to me, he needs to live in that weight room and training facility with the Heat trainers. But coming up here, I want to know, what will his role be in 2024? A lot of people think he could be the starting center and you move Bam to the 4. I'm not so sure on that, and I don't know what his role is going to be for this Heat team this upcoming season. I guarantee he'll get minutes, but what will his role be? I'll try to tell you in just a second. But I do want to get a little temperature check, if you will, on the Heat fans. Will Kelel Ware start opening night? Type S for start, type B for bench. Made a bet yesterday at our live show with Rodney, shout out to Rodney, that Kelel Ware wouldn't start. I don't think he starts. He thought he will start. A little bet. I won't forget that, Rodney. Shout out to you. And that kind of takes me to this, right? I just think there's no chance he starts on this Miami Heat team. And that's not me discrediting Kelel Ware. It's just looking at the history of this team and where the Heat's roster is at. Like, I'm telling you, I need you to understand this. Me saying I don't think Kelel Ware starts or deserves to start is not me hating on the young man. The reality is that rookies don't tend to start when they are raw and they have a lot to learn. And specifically for a team constructed as Miami, where would you put him to start? Right, like, you have your guards, whether it be Tyler, Duncan, Terry, you have guards. You have Jimmy and Bam. So that leaves one spot. What is the obsession to push out Nikola Jovic from the starting lineup? Jovic started the back half of last season at the 4 spot next to Bam, and I thought he did a terrific job. He played in 46 games, did not start all of them, but he played in 46 and got 19 and a half minutes a game, and I thought he did a lot of nice things. 7.7 points per game, 4 rebounds, shot 45% from the field and 40% from 3. This is a 6'10", 6'11" forward who is continuing to improve, continuing to add weight and muscle to his frame, because that's something that he needed to do coming out of the NBA draft. I think him and Bam could be your front court of the future as long as Jovic continues to get better defensively inside to where he can guard centers at times and switch in the switch scheme that Spoelstra likes to employ. And I am very excited to see a third-year Jovic. Like, the improvements from year 1 to year 2 were already so massive. What is making us think a year 2 to year 3 little growth for Nikola won't be another big leap, and he could be an elite 4 in the NBA where he's averaging 12, 15 points a game, shooting 40% from 3, and also logging 6 rebounds and 3, 4 assists. Like, I think that is absolutely in the cards. If he takes the jump, I think he's capable of doing. So to me, to tie this conversation back to Kelel Ware, yes, he does change everything for Miami to where you could forecast him being an elite rim-protecting, floor-spacing center for Miami and moving Bam to the 4. But at least where things currently stand, there is no need for me to rush Kelel Ware and put him in a spot where he is not able to succeed because he is not ready. I don't think he's ready to take on starting centers in the NBA. I don't think that's the case at all. I'd rather have Bam play that position still, run Nikola Jovic at the 4, and then when you talk about a lineup of the future, well, maybe then we could talk about when Jimmy Butler leaves Miami, Kelel Ware at center, Bam at the 4, Jovic at the 3. And you could run the 3 of them if they're still on this team and have 3 big men because Jovic is versatile. He can do that. Bam is versatile. He can switch. And then Jovic can space the floor. And you could hope the 2 big men can space the floor. So I think there's no need to rush Ware into the starting lineup. but there is a lot of upside on the young man because he can be a rim protecting center and be a Miles Turner, Brook Lopez type big man for Miami, which only allows Bam to be more versatile on the offensive end and defensive end, which makes him one of the top 15, 20 players in the world. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Like I said, make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we put out daily content here at the Heat Report. I'm Nic Rohloff. I'm going to get you something every single day, and we're going to be live on Wednesday afternoon for a game against the Mavericks in Summer League, so make sure you come join us. Hopefully I see you then.